Hey guys, welcome back to Ultimate S&S. So we're talking about the coming collapse and what we can do to prepare for it. So I think most of us can agree that the country is in very bad shape. We look around the world, it's really bad too. We're going to focus on our country right now, though. So we are looking at the collapse of the housing market. They just said today they released a report that it's the worst it's ever been since 2007. Well, and it's actually worse than it was in 2007. For those of you who don't remember 2008, that was when we had a bad market crash when it came to homes and stuff, guys. So we're approaching that again. You know, unfortunately, that's where we're headed. But that's why I said I would never buy another house unless I bought it straight out because there's no way I'm going to put my need on some bank or another corporation, guys. But that's my opinion. You do what you got to do. You're better off to invest in land that you can afford and build upon it as you can. Get you a small camper or something if you have to, because chances are in the days ahead we're not going to be able to sit on our properties for any extended time. But it is nice to have it for now so we can start prepping. So what do we need to do to prepare for this coming collapse? Well, we need to be putting our food back. We need to be storing water. We need to make sure that we are watching these food prices and trying to figure out ways to get our deals that we need to be able to do it. But more than that, you need to be growing food. You need to figure out a way to, seriously, figure out a way to get some kind of a garden started. The reason I say that, guys, is a garden is going to feed you for the day. And if you do it right, you're going to have every day, you're going to be able to put food back for later. And then you're also going to be able to put seeds back for your next several gardens. That's why it's important to garden. That's why it is very important that you get out there and you start working your grounds and things like that, because it is the most cost effective way to prep. But you may be thinking, well, yeah, but that's a lot of work. Well, anything worth doing is going to be a lot of work, and that's the way that our forefathers done it. They garden. They had their own crops. They had their own farms and things like that. They would take stuff to market to sell it, and then other people that had other things, they would trade it off. So if you're looking at wanting to do some kind of a trade route, or whatever later on when after this collapse has happened, I know there's a lot of people like, oh well, I'll trade some ammunition. I'm not. I'm gonna keep that for my hunting privilege, whatever I need it for. Uh, but hey, maybe they have strawberries or something. You've got some zucchini. They really want some zucchini, and you want the fruit, so you swap around with them and things like that. You can work out stuff like that later, or even now in the process. Maybe you don't have enough yard to do everything. You know, maybe you have just enough area where you can do a garden, and someone else has bees. So for some honey, you trade them some vegetables, or maybe you let them bring a thing of bees out there to your garden. That's going to benefit your garden. It's going to help them with their pollinators and stuff like that as well. So, you need to be working with each other on these community aspects of things, guys. The fact is, if we as the people do not pull together during the collapse, very few people are going to actually make it. We are seeing already where they are using terms such as they call it a food insecurity. That was what was released today. Is they foresee, this is from our White House press that was released. So they said we see some possible food insecurities coming to Africa and the Middle East, and then named off some of the other regions, and possibly some areas within America in our poor areas. It's going to be some food insecurities. Well, the same report that they had did that press release off of didn't call it food insecurities. It called it widespread famine, death tolls in the millions. But they don't want to alarm anybody. It's like the plane that's going down. If the plane's coming down and the captain's saying, remain in your seatbelts, everything's fine, everything's fine, everything's fine, and then they hit the ground, that's basically what they're doing. They know it's sinking, they know it's on its way out. But our captain is still up there. Well, unfortunately, the captain we have right now is not doing a very good job of notifying anybody of anything. But that basically the government's like, oh no, everything's good. Everything's under control over here. How many comedies have we seen that where things are spiraling out of their control because they don't know what they're doing. And people are like, what's going on over there? And someone pokes their head, everything's good in here, guys. Don't worry about what's happening here. We're good. and then they end up destroying a kitchen or whatever and stuff. If you've ever watched the Three Stooges, that is basically what we have up there right now. We have the Three Stooges. That is our line of succession from uh, Gaff Boy to the Cackle Queen to give me some more vodka or whatever it is she drinks. You know, if she can keep her teeth in long enough to say that. That's what we have in our office right now, guys. So again, what can you do? I'm going to show you a couple little clips. I've actually tried to shoot this video a few times, but I get to hammering too hard, I think, on the people up in our office. But here's a couple of clips of showing what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get my garden going, and I'm trying to get my quail. So my garden is finally coming back in nicely. Hopefully here in a few weeks that's really going to take off. But I'm always talking about, well, it's really going to come in here pretty soon. When it finally does come in, you're going to understand what I'm talking about. But and then again, the quail. That was actually one of the first. Actually the second project I started with. I started with honeybees, and I moved into doing quail, and I've since moved into chickens and gardening and stuff like that. But the quail are probably the easiest thing I have out here to take care of. As long as you feed them and make sure they got clean water every day, they're going to give you eggs every single day. And you can butcher them out. You can raise the eggs if you want to keep a good breeding population, which is what I do. I make sure I have enough layers, enough quail hens laying eggs to provide for me and my dad. And I've even increased that for other family members as well now. That way, when things get so bad that there's no food on the shelves, I mean, they're charging $5 for a dozen of eggs down here. $5. It's insane. I'm not going to pay that. There's no way. I mean, I used to get a dozen of eggs for $1.39, and I thought that was high, but it's $5. It's $5.39 for a dozen of eggs over here. So I'm not going to be buying eggs. But I figured this was coming anyway. Like I said, we've been saying prep, and I got to look at it. I'm like, it's going to be easier to stockpile food stuff just growing my own, which is what I'm looking at doing, and that's what I've been doing. So that's what I encourage you to do is, yes, buy food, go out and get food, stockpile it to the roof if you have to, guys, but start growing your own food too. If you grow food right now, it's going to help you later. You're never going to sit back and go, oh, I wish I had to grow all that food. Sorry, I didn't mean to kick the stand, guys. You're not at no point in life, in the life that's coming up here, guys, you're not going to go, I really regret having, grew all that food, or I really regret having went and bought all that canned food and stuff like that, because, now I've got so much food I can't even handle it. Even if you don't see the collapse in the next couple of years, the interest rates and this fertilizer crisis that's going on is going to have food supply so low and the price is so freaking high that you're going to be eating well if you start preparing now. But if you continue to wait, you're not going to be able to afford to eat. Or you're not going to be able to afford to eat real food, I should say. They have a backup plan. How do you get people eating that lab cultured meat crap that they're trying to sell? How? Just make sure there's nothing else on the market, guys, and understand they're making some big money. I mean, these are what was originally medical professionals that are now growing whatever that lab cultured food is, man. I mean, that's a sad fact that we as a people are so freaking lazy that we don't even know how to grow our own food or raise our own food anymore. Oh yeah, just give me that crap you grew in that petri dish over there, man. I'll eat that because I'm too lazy to go and start providing for myself. It doesn't matter how much food you have back right now. There is a day coming for everybody on this world where they're either going to rely on evil or good to be sustaining them. And we're approaching that day, guys. But that's just my opinion on it. Hopefully you're waking up to the reality that you need to be getting stockpiled. And there's a lot of you that already are. And understand, if you're doing the best you can with it, that is where faith comes in because you're doing your part. The Lord's going to take it and he's going to go from there. But if you're just sitting back and you go, whatever, man, they've been saying this for years. What's your option going to be? Because if you've been talking crap to people in your area about them prepping, they're not going to then let you come join their group. What's your option going to be? Well, your option is going to be to go into town and then beg whoever's reigning to give you a position where you can at least eat every day, and then they're going to want something from you, and on top of that, they're going to want some information from you, at which point you're going to dime out everybody that you know of that has ever prepped and where they're at and what locations they're at, what kind of trade routes they have, and things like that. So that makes you what? A traitor. So that's just the way I look at it. We can look at it from a lot of different angles, but that's my opinion. So get ready, guys. The collapse is coming. It is not going to be something that it's been coming in slow, but just as we know, everything comes in and it starts to intensify until it finally hits. And we are seeing a very intense rate of growth of people living in poverty within our own nation. People that are starting to starve in our own nation. I'm not talking about the elites. I'm talking about your common man. But nobody seems to care as long as they keep the internet on, the lights burning, and the new iPhone in their pocket. So hope everyone has a great day.